Here we are then for the final video in this F1 23 preview build. Today we're here for a 100% race at Silverstone, the new updated version, and we're doing it in the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. Guys, before we jump into this one, I want to quickly say a big shout out to EA for sending an early preview copy. And yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the content so far. This is going to be my first proper race on this game. I've done, gameplay bits here and there, snippets, comparisons, but this is my first actual proper race versus AI where there's strategy involved, there's tyre wear. We're going to have a race that goes from dry to wet to dry. That's the weather forecast I've kind of assigned for this race, but it's going to be also approximate in terms of the forecast accuracy, so it should be interesting. Setup wise, I'm going for the complete default setup, which is preset number 3 with a wing adjustment, and I'm keeping the strategy also completely default. So guys, let's jump into the race and let's get to it. If you're going to enjoy this one, leave a like and also subscribe, as I'm trying to reach 100k this year, guys, and I really want to try and get close to that. If you are watching, you are new, and you want to help me out, that would be awesome. Anyway, lights out and away we go at Silverstone for 52 laps of this race. Starting from the back on 105 AI, because right now in this build the performance isn't up to date. So the Aston Martin is actually one of the worst cars, so I didn't kind of realise until during a bit of practice for this. I kind of understood this car isn't actually that fast, so hopefully that will get patched for launch. But yeah, race underway, and we've got past Sargent and we've got past Lance Stroll. Also note, we're really getting involved here with the better kind of start system, and also the traction ability. Now we can actually fight a lot better on the first lap and get those traction zones down and actually give the AI a pretty good run for their money. And you can see we've already passed 4 cars as we clear the AlphaTauri and also the McLaren of Piastri on the Wellington Straight. Decent start then, as we're up to 16th place and more cars up ahead, Zhou Guanyu and Kevin Magnussen. One thing I'll note is the different selection of tyre compounds. We saw all 3 different types of compound in just the back 4 cars alone, so they are definitely going for a bit more variation in terms of their strategy, which is nice to see. And yeah, hopefully we can see a few more good elements of racing as we get a warning already on the exit of the kind of S section there, and Piastri gets through. I'm going to actually tuck back in for a bit of slipstream, and we almost go 4 wide, and this is showcasing the AI's improved wheel-to-wheel combat as Tsunoda goes through. Stroll tries to go around the outside, and we have to keep it in the middle and keep it clean. That's exactly what we do, and we fall back down to 18th place as Piastri and Tsunoda on the hard tyre get the jump on us. Lap 3 now though, DRS enabled, and you can see this little train starting to form, and we're going to send it up the inside of Yuki as we have a lock up from someone in front of us. We're going to clear that overtake as we do run a bit wide through 4. I was trying to look around the outside of Piastri, but it didn't really work out, and yeah, we'll try and see if I can put some pressure on now as we make our way down the Wellington Straight. DRS wide open here as Piastri actually now going for the move instead on Zhou Guanyu in the Alfa Romeo, and this could present an opportunity to look for the pass as Zhou defends well, keeps his car ahead. We tried to sneak our nose in there, but Piastri having absolutely none of it, and we're going to have to try again. Making our way down to Cops and the old pit straight, and actually Tsunoda getting the burners on, using up the battery, and re-overtaking me, and to be fair, catching me napping. I wasn't really expecting that. I tried to re-challenge here, but is it going to work? No, I back out right at the last second there. That would have been a pretty big crash had we kept our nose in, but fair play. The AI, even on 105, kind of surprised me there with a bit of an aggressive move, and Tsunoda getting the battery on. And we're going to try to re-challenge as we open the DRS, and you can see the strength of the slipstream and DRS in this year's game, as Tsunoda also has it, but we just are closer to him, so we get a much stronger pull effect as we go through. Piastri, Zhou again going at it into this final chicane, and Piastri looking to go through. I tried to pull off the Lewis Hamilton there at the final corner, but I couldn't quite get the line right, and we're actually going to be forced onto the outside here. And again, you're going to see the AI's race stability in full effect as we go around the outside of Piastri at turn 1, keeping it clean, no contact, and we're going to send it up the inside of Zhou into 3 and get that one done. So a nice double move there and gaining those 2 places, and we're now up into 15th place. Lap 7, we've caught up to Nico Hulkenberg, and you can see he hasn't got much of a slipstream, so we're going to get the run here on the Haas using a fair bit of battery as we just glide up the inside and make a nice easy pass, and we'll just run him out to dry and lock in P14. So up next, Alex Albon in the Williams, and that is now lap number 9. We now turns 1 and 2 using this new camera angle. You can see now with the expanded field of view, up the inside of the Williams. Nice clean pass again, and Albon not really putting up much of a fight as we clear him and gain another place. Now then, we move on to lap 14, and the clouds were starting to form in this race, and we was trying to put some pressure on De Vries and Magnussen, but tyre wear started to kick in and become a thing. So the car's drivable, but we just lacked a little bit in crucial traction areas. Also, most importantly, what I could notice was the high-speed grip was vanishing, so I didn't have that front left really working for me in those high-speed corners. Nonetheless, I finally got a bit of pressure on De Vries here. I'm looking to go around the outside, but we don't quite have the front end grip as De Vries slams the door shut on us through there, and we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to try and go for a pass on the AlphaTauri. To be fair, I will say De Vries and Magnussen were really hard to pass. They were basically slipstreaming and re-overtaking one another and kind of swapping places, and I couldn't really get close enough up until now, and I was trying to put some real serious pressure on them, and you can see De Vries actually getting a move on. And that's one thing I noticed in this race. The AI tend to react a bit better in terms of situations happening to them in races. So in this case, I was pressuring De Vries, so he actually got a move on with it and started to pressure Magnussen. And because of that, now you're going to see the 3 wide special. Magnussen in the middle of the sandwich as we go through up the inside, pulling off the double, and yet again another clean move into P11. And we're just one shy of the points with Bottas up the road in the Alfa Romeo. Lap 17, sky is getting even darker as Magnussen has held on to us and has some pretty decent straight line speed, so I'm going to let him go. I don't have any battery left, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, to really fight, so we'll just slot him behind and basically try to recharge a little bit until this rain arrives, because we're basically waiting now for the skies.
At least another 10 minutes until this rain evens out. Stay alert out there. Dries definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
So there is the weather update, and it is currently raining, so it could be a matter of moments until we get that rain arrive. And now De Vries actually catching me off guard again there. 2 AlphaTauris in a row doing that. First Tsunoda, now De Vries, but we pull off a beautiful switchback, learning our lesson from the last time, and we just get back in front and keep De Vries at bay. Exactly 1 lap later, the heavens opened properly, and the rain was really falling. So
alright, we're getting very close to the crossover point now. Stay out if you have the pace, but as soon as you hit the limit, come in and we'll put the inters on.
And that's pretty much what you want to hear. Great timing, and we're going to box, and we're going to speed this up because we only have a 15-minute limit on these videos, and I want to try and get all the action in. So on to the intermediate, and unfortunately, we get boxed in. Badly. Really badly boxed in. We wasn't the only one, to be fair, but the pit lane was chaos, and there was a lot of traffic. We lost a load of time to Bottas, who was running
up to speed now. Let's get some heat into those tyres
in P10, and that was a costly time loss, as we currently on lap 23 pick up our first warning, or sorry, no, a second warning actually for track limits, as we got one on lap 1, I believe. So we're on the limit now, so we've got to be careful as we skip all the way to lap 28. I was about 4 seconds away from Magnussen, and eventually after 5 laps or so I figured out how to drive in these conditions. It took me a while, but eventually I started to find the sweet spot. But then I clocked the rain was picking up big time. It was heavy rain, so I'm going to roll the dice and gamble and see if we can get to a wet tyre and try to undercut potentially Magnussen and De Vries and kind of get ourselves back into the race. So lap 31, cars in the pits putting on the wet tyres, and to be fair, it wasn't the undercut that I hoped for. There wasn't a lot of pace gained. It was actually quite similar in terms of the water clearance and the pace between the inter and the wet, so I didn't really gain much, and we pretty much kept position. I couldn't find any pace. We was literally identical to the AI's pace in that entire wet tyre stint, literally. So lap 41, I noticed that AI weren't pitting and the track was drying, so I thought I'm going to roll the dice. Reason being, it seems like conditions are really improving, and straight away, the moment I got onto the track on cold tyres, I could feel it. This was the right call. One thing to note, unlike in last year's game, in this year's game, besides the dries, this year on the inters and the wets, if you rejoin the track in a race, they're going to be cold this year, so you have to warm them up, unlike 22 where they already were warmed up in the blankets. Anyway, Verstappen getting his drift on through the left-hander there. You can see I'm all over the back of him, and we're currently a lap down, so we're going to have to unlap ourselves here and crack on with it. So yeah, we're going to get the burners on, use the battery, and we're going to pass Max because this is the right tyre. And with 10 laps to go, we're going to see if the AI respond. Max tries to hang around the outside, but we run him out the dry. And now we're going to crack on. You can see we've caught up to Stroll in 2 laps. So we've gained over 10 seconds in 2 laps. The intermediate is the way to go. We get very close to some contact there. I had to kind of get out of it at the last second, but we're going to go.
Okay, I think the track's going to be drying out quite soon. Be careful you don't burn out your tyres.
We're going to go to the outside as we get a weather update. And that message did just concern me a little bit, because that message is usually given when the track's actually going to switch to dry tyres, which is interesting. So I think the AI are either going to the end on the wets, or they're going to try and put a dry tyre on and skip the interface entirely. So we have to get on with it. Chop chop, we have to push, because things could get tricky. We clear Albon straight away, and we're now all over the back of Zhou in the Alfa Romeo. I tried to pass into Cops there, but I couldn't quite get the move done. Making our way into the S section though, we're going to go for it and take no prisoners and fly by and make a super aggressive pass on the Chinese driver, and now closing in on Nico Hulkenberg as we look to get him as well. No DRS just yet, but we're going to use all the battery left to make sure we clear him on the back straight and get ahead as we go down the inside on the brakes. Late move, aggressive lunge, committed, and we go through and move into 15th place. Now then, we're going to just speed this up a little bit, and you've got Sonoda up ahead. We're going to close in on him as well, and you'll see just the...
Okay, looks like some of those puddles are clearing. We're still definitely on the right tyre for the time being, but we're probably not a million miles away from slick conditions.
I was going to say the pure pace difference, and you can see the overtake confirms it as we breeze around the outside of Sonoda and pick up the inside line. Lap 46, DRS.
Okay, the stewards have now enabled DRS. DRS is now online.
And that is a worrying sign, and the track was drying very, very quick, and Nick De Vries was the first one to bite the bullet, and he's going to box, and I can tell you he's going to put on a soft compound tyre. So the AI thinking it's time for dries. We stayed out one more lap, and you can see visually these guys are struggling with the wet, although to be fair, the pace wasn't that bad. They were holding on better than I thought on the wet tyre. Anyway, we cleared Piastri, and we're going to almost catch Magnussen as we dive into the pit. So yeah, Bottas is about 15 seconds ahead up the road. So we pretty much went nowhere with that intermediate stint. We were fast. I should have pitted 1 or 2 laps before, and I could have made a bigger difference, I think. But I kind of didn't realise quickly enough, and that's also part of adapting to a new game and, you know, the new physics and how the weather forecast works and the kind of crossover phase. But yeah, it's going to now be a sprint to the finish, pretty much. Everyone on softs, flat out to the end. We've got so much extra fuel. We are like 5 laps over. I overfueled the car massively. Anyway, Magnussen fighting straight away, but on the cold tyres is unable to make a move on the outside of the left-hander there, so we're going to keep in front for now. We don't have a ton of battery, but we've got enough to hopefully hold our own. But the AI burning the batteries out of the pit exit as they usually do on an outlap. Kevin looking for the pass, but doesn't quite commit, and that's where the AI have also improved compared to last year. On 22 they would have definitely gone for that pass and just gone for the suicide dive, but now Magnussen is going for it, and he's going to return the favour. Slight contact in the way in. I tried to leave a bit of room, but I had to turn in. Also, I'm trying to get used to the dry conditions, as it's been a while since we've, you know, done some laps in the dry. But yeah, I used the battery up, and Magnussen was just too fast, man. Way too quick. I couldn't cover him off, so we'll let him go. I gave myself a couple of laps to try and recharge the battery, and also, you know, just see what the pace was like and where my strong points were. And eventually, I felt comfortable enough to make a move. So, lap 50, up the inside, into Stowe, clean pass, returned the favour from a couple of laps ago, and we're going to make sure we stay in front into the chicane. Now then, on to the last lap of the race. Verstappen has won, and we're keeping ahead. Piastri has also made his way into the party, and here we go. Onto the opposite straight, Piastri puts a big pressure on Magnussen, which in turn is pressuring me. We keep our car in the middle of the track to stay defensive, and now into the S section. Magnussen is going to re-challenge to the left-hand side. We're going to hold the inside line, and we're going to stay in front for now, but we're not out of trouble yet. We've got just a little bit of battery left as we head our way into the last DRS zone. Onto the hangar straight, making our car as wide as possible. Magnussen gets boxed in, and here comes Oscar Piastri to the outside into Stowe. We're going to lunge it back on the brakes to get that one back, and we're going to stay in front, and P12 should be ours, although Piastri is not done yet. Around the outside once again, but we hold the inside line, and now finally we hold on as we bring it home for a P12 finish in Silverstone. Checkered flag, and that is 100% race at Silverstone. And yeah, to be fair, I really enjoyed it. There was a lot to learn in that race. AI vastly improved in my opinion in terms of their racecraft, and a few things I like in terms of not being so aggressive with certain moves anymore. And yeah, I enjoyed it. So guys, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, as it really helps me out. You don't know how much it helps me out. Leave a comment down below on your thoughts on this video. Also your thoughts on F1 23 in general so far. What do you think? And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one very soon. I've got a stream coming up on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, check out the 2 videos on screen, and I'll see you soon. Adios.